Hi, and welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. I'm your host, Kamaria Richmond, and we are here today with Mrs. Betty Hines. And Betty is the founder and CEO of Women Elevating Women. And she has an event coming up, and we're going to really dig deep. So, Betty, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Now, you are amazing. You are an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you're a mentor, you're a business strategist, and tell us how you went from being a corporate, going into corporate, but saying, you know what, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. That's my spirit. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, actually, the corporate experience was a good one. It was the foundation. And because of me working in corporate America and then moving, they relocate you, particularly women. They want to make sure you're mobile. Having been transferred half a dozen times plus, I decided I'm working so hard, long hours, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I did, but working long hours and late nights, that my now husband and I decided, you know, we're working money for other people. Why don't we try to do that for ourselves? And at that point in time, we were already established in the community, known because there weren't that many people on the underwriting side of the business that I was in. And so from that experience, it really shaped and molded my thinking into, you need to do it on your own.
That's amazing. And so tell us about Women Elevating Women, why you wanted to do that venture.
A lot of it, again, has to do with my past experiences. Going from corporate America, and then we had our company, and of course we did our company at the wrong time. It was all around Enron and 9/11, but and so we eventually shut the company down, and I decided to go into consulting. Okay. I realized at that time there were things that I wasn't aware of. There were organizations and groups that help you grow and help you develop, and I felt that if I had known about these organizations out there, they're peer advisory groups, and some of them are not necessarily peer advisory groups, but they're groups of people who are like-minded. That would have been extremely helpful. So I just had a mission and a passion that I wanted to bring that to the forefront for those women who are out there trying to make it as an entrepreneur.
Wow. And why did you decide to do something that's multicultural?
I think that's, to me, I feel it's an ignored affinity group. And I would love to have this debate with some HR people on that. But I feel it's an ignored affinity group. You have your different groups. You have your Latinas. You might have your LGBT, your African American male. But as women, we need to be a group of our own. We need to have our own voice. And so I decided to go with the multicultural because there are multicultural women. And first off, let me digress a little bit. Women are one of the fastest growing business owners in the country. We're outpacing even the men. And so we need a support system. However, we don't have the access to the capital that that the men are afforded. And for that reason, I just felt that we needed to band together as a group. You know, they say you're stronger in numbers. We need to band together as a group and help each other. Information that we don't know, share it. Share it with each other so we can all scale. And that's where I came up with the Women Elevating Women. And multicultural, because there are multicultural women in the executive field, and I've been there, and there are multicultural women as entrepreneurs. And we don't need to be divisive. We need to be collaborative. Right. And if we work together, both the corporate executive and the entrepreneur, we can do major things. They can elevate in their careers, and we can scale in our business.
Why did you come up with the name, or how did the name come to you?
Actually, it wasn't my product. It was my children, my adult children. I wanted to do something, and I kept bouncing it around. And my son, Aaron, and my daughter, Shannon, they were just thinking of ideas, and middle of the night, brainstorming, bouncing ideas, and they said, how about this? And so we went with Women Elevating Women. We went to go like, woo, you know, Women Elevating Women.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And how long did it take you to come up with the concept of this is what you wanted to do?
That didn't take long because I was relying on what I've already been doing. I've been working with women with another organization for over 15 years, about 15 years, that were individuals who privately held companies, and they ran multi-million-dollar businesses. So that wasn't an issue. But what prompted me to go with the Women Elevating Women is that in this particular organization, which is changing, is that I didn't see many people of color in the organization. And I felt that that was a really disservice to people of color. And for that primary reason, I decided, you know, there's less than 3% women that are over $1 million in gross revenues. And when you break it down by ethnicity, there's even less. We're less than half a percent. We usually hover around maybe 100,000, 250,000, 500,000. So there's a lot of businesses out there. But in terms of being over $1 million, you break it out by ethnicity, it's the numbers, 0.5%. So why can't we have a piece of the pie? For that reason, I want to band them all together and have them work collaboratively. Because what we find is that your problem is not new. What you've experienced, I don't care what business that you're in, someone has experienced it. So why make them go through that, share that information on what you experience and how you decide to resolve the issue. So that's why I came up with the multicultural women, because we don't need to be battling. And I do want to say there was a young lady, I consider her my mentor. She doesn't realize it, but I met her when she was 18, and at one of my conferences in Atlanta, I had her do a panel discussion, because it's not just multicultural, it's also multi-generational, because I believe that we need to reach back.
Interesting, okay.
And she made a comment, and her name is Maya Penn. She said, you know what? There's enough sky out there for all of us. And that just resonated with me, that there's enough out there for all of us. And so why don't we work together, the corporate executives and the entrepreneurs, so that we can all have a win?
I'm going to use that. There's enough sky for all of us. And that is a good point, that it is multicultural as well, because you need everybody at the table to be successful. Like, everyone's voice brings something different to the table. So you have a series of events coming up this year for 2020. So tell us about the events.
They're all going to be in Maryland. In the past, I was like on a traveling show, but I'm also the caregiver for my 94-and-a-half-year-old mother. So anything I can do to minimize my travel. So they're all going to be held here in DC. My first one is not my first one, but my one for 2020. And as we say, we're going into 2020 with clear vision. My first one is March 9th. It's going to be in the DC area. And I designed it so that it's a small setting, very limited seating, because the topics that I have selected are more in depth. And I wanted people to have opportunity to do a Q&A. Whereas when you're at the hotel, which is where I've held them in the past, I mean, people don't want to get up and stand up and go to the mic. Where this way, when you're in a small room setting, no more than 120, 125 people tops, we can get engaged with the type of women that I brought in to either moderate or to be part of the panelists.
Okay, and tell us about the women and the topics.
Sure.
What you just asked.
The theme for this first one is like refocusing the lenses as being a multicultural woman executive and entrepreneur. And I just want people to, the purpose was to, let's take another look. You know, what does it mean to be multicultural? And multicultural is just not an ethnicity, it's your background, where you come from. So that was the theme, and it was a burning issue for me. So with that theme, I downloaded some topics that we're going to be discussing. I have to say that I'm just thrilled that I was able to have the interim CEO from the Executive Leadership Council, and that's Crystal Ashby. Crystal was the interim CEO for the ELC, and prior to that, she was the Executive Vice President from BP, America Inc. And of course, I have to give her a shout out because she's a Michigan Wolverine. But that's it. And the attorney, Sean Wright, and she's with Blank Rome, and she is their outside counsel. And Sean is interviewing Crystal because both these women are tremendously successful in their careers. And so the question that I've asked them to discuss is, why do you feel it's the importance, what is the importance of corporations in elevating or having multicultural women as an affinity group and having them scale and be part of the diversity and inclusion? What's the significance? Why is it important for corporations to be inclusive? And so I'm very interested in how they're going to have that dialogue. And I also have a topic, often a lot of women entrepreneurs, they'll go right out, they'll do business right outside their zip code, or they might get brave and then do it in a county and dare them go from state to state. So I took it's all about being, and this one is being adventurous. And here I brought in a dear friend of mine from Canada. She is a CEO in Canada called Grow Your Biz, and she has chapters with women startups across the country. She does it in Southeast Asia and Africa, all over the world. And then another individual, Stacey Redmond, who's a vet, she does it throughout the United States. I have her involved. And then a very good friend of mine named Wendy Shin. She's out of New Jersey, but she does a lot of business in Southeast Asia. So and the thrill for me is that the newly appointed elected CEO for Women Presidents Organization, Camille Burns, she's going to moderate that because that organization has 140 chapters around the world. So it's going to talk about what is your fear? You know, you can grow tremendously if you just take that leap of faith and you have your business strategy together and you can work that operation. So that's one. And then what is being successful and what is being prosperous? So on the one being prosperous, I have Simone Shepard, and she's my board chair as well. She's the board chair for WU. She's going to moderate a conversation on being prosperous. So I have 4 ladies, very diverse backgrounds. I have Vicky Vasquez, Native American Indian. I have Margarita Chang, Asian American. I have Lois Gamerman from Go Soft Foods. And they're going to have a dialogue about what does that mean? Because based off your culture and your background, I didn't have my mother sitting down at the table with me with the Wall Street Journal. So when you become prosperous, what do you do? What do you feel is your innate responsibility to do, to create a legacy? And so these women have done extremely well in terms of being prosperous. And that conversation is going to help other women, because oftentimes I'll see women who have reached that million, particularly if they've been in what they call the government 8A program. Once that expires, they'll go bankrupt. About 98%, the businesses go bankrupt. So it's like, so what are you doing to keep that prosperity?
Right.
And what are you doing to create a legacy now that you're prosperous? So that's very important. And then what is success? A lot of people have different definitions of what is success. And so I have a group of women, the CEO from AMPUS, and I'm going to slaughter her name, forgive me, Ann, but it's Anjali Ramakaran. Did pretty good there. I have Sonja Hines, no relationship to me, and she's going to be there. They're going to be talking about what is success based off the successes of their business. What does that mean? What does that look like? What do you do? And what do you do to ensure that when you reach back, that those individuals can be successful as well? What do you do to contribute? Because what you will find, a lot of these women that are successful, a lot of them are very philanthropic as well.
To go hand in hand. And you said a couple things that really made me, go, oh, aha. And so you're talking about not just giving back, but the legacy that you're leaving behind. And so for Betty Hines and all the work that you do, what do you want the legacy for you to be leaving behind? Like, what is success? What has it meant to you in doing the work that you're doing? What does that mean to you?
What that means to me is the reaching back. And Scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. And I feel like I've been given the gift of reaching out and connecting with people, the master connector, as some people might call me, bringing groups together and help them, problem solve and helping them work together. And so that has been my gift. And my gift is not only do you have success defined on your terms, but what are you doing to reach back? It means nothing. You can't take it with you.
Yes.
So what are you doing out there in the community? I mean, they talk about your time, your talents, and your treasures. A dear friend of mine, and he's the late Lou Grasmick, told me, you got to do time, your talents, and your treasures. You have to be able to do 2 of the 3. And so with that, I want to be my legacy, that I have given back, I've given my all. I'm not one of those multi-million and billion-dollar women, but it's a lot of joy in me in seeing them thrive and seeing them with that drive. So, and particularly in some of the circumstances that they're in corporate America, having been there, and there's a lot of firsts for some of these women. You know, I'm the first African American, or I'm the first Asian to do this, and also as an entrepreneur, you know, that's success for me, and that will put me at peace. I'm at peace right now. I feel that if the Lord were to call me today, I've done, it's well with my soul. I've done what I want to do, that I feel that He's commissioned me to do while I'm here.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And to go back for the events, how can people find out about those events? And
Sure. I have 3 of them, and they're all on the website. All you need to do is very simple. My name is not very difficult. It's bettyhines.com/event, not plural, but event. And they can register on the event. We still have a couple sponsorships open. I'm always looking for sponsorship dollars. They can sponsor, and there's a good sponsorship on there if they're interested. There's a $1,000 sponsorship where it allows them to come to all 3 events. It allows them to attend all 3 VIP receptions, and then they get an hour consultation with me.
that sounds like a good deal.
Yes, it is.
That sounds like a really good deal.
Yes, yes.
And during the consultation period, what are you discussing?
Well, it's pretty much I'm going to ask them to give me something beforehand in terms of what is their business and what are what they're looking to do. I will admit it's been a while since I've worked with a startup. I mean, I used to do that, I would say 15, 20 years ago, where I'm actually doing the thinking. Okay, let me think, what do you want to do? What are your ideas?
Right.
And helping them put together a strategic plan. So I really, my expertise now, I mean, I kind of slowed down on the startups. You know, I will do my best, but I'm a little rusty there because I haven't done it in a while. But I usually work with people who are already engaged, who have been in business 3 or 4 years, and they just feel like they're stuck. So those are the ones that I feel that I can offer the best information to help them, you know, get out of that rut and take it to the next level.
What do you think, is there something that stops us? What do you think stops us to getting to the next level?
Ourselves. I have a coach as well, and this just recently, Nicole Colber. And Nicole, she also sits on the board for the National Women's Business Council. She just does a lot of things. And Nicole had me, and I do SWOT analysis all the time. And she says, I want you to do a personal SWOT analysis. And I'm like, a personal SWOT? So I did a SWOT analysis on myself. That was so revealing.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
One of the things one of my weaknesses is that I don't ask people for help. And that's a threat.
Superwoman.
And that's a threat too, because like they can hurt you, because you have not, because you ask not. So I'm learning how to ask people, and that was one of the big ahas for me. Is that you know, I will do for everybody. I will do anything for anyone. That's just my nature. I get joy. I mean, it really gives me my energy and my juice. But I do more for them than I do for myself, and so. That was and everyone, I encourage them to do that. A personal SWOT analysis. And you step back and you look at it, oh, and it's real.
That's interesting. That can be kind of scary.
Well, it was. It took me a little while to dive into the practice, but I did do it. And now I have to type it and put it up there on the wall so I can look at it because I got it hidden. So I'm halfway there. I did it. Now I got to face it and confront it.
And what do you think about coaches?
I think they're excellent. I've worked with women, and right now I'm working in a facilitation group with 22 women. And so you're talking about 22 type A personalities, so you have to manage that. But I think everyone needs a coach. Sometimes you just need another set of eyes.
Right.
And particularly when you're doing your own work, I think it's extremely helpful. To have a coach, and then there's just different things. And you bring up coaches, but coaches, mentors, advocates, sponsors, it depends where you are in your business and in your life.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Because I guess there really is a different connection between each and every one of those.
Yes, there is.
Those different ones. Yeah.
Because people who are just starting out, they probably need more of a mentor. And then as they excel, and even in their business, then they probably need that advocate. Someone's going to
Right.
go out there and knock down trees on their behalf. So there's different levels that you need, but I do believe you need to get a coach and where you are. If it's a good coach, they'll know where you are in your career, in your personal life.
And what do you see, so 2020, we have this new vision for 2020. What do you want the events to, for 2020, what is that, the whole vision? Yeah, what are you looking for?
Actually, I've been inviting some corporate executives to the session. In fact, I had them on the panel.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
feel that and I'm very, very serious about the affinity group, the multicultural woman. I feel it should be brought into corporate America. I think it should be coming into the corporations because it's like diagnosing yourself. Yeah, they'll have an HR department.
Right.
But having been in all those different worlds, it's good to have someone from the outside to get your multicultural woman, your executive level, your thought leaders, and have some facilitation in those sessions. So this is just a starting point. I look to have groups, maybe 6 to 8 groups, and I'm going to announce it in March. Groups of women to support each other, to elevate each other. But I really feel that this platform is one that, yes, this is where we are right now, and we're addressing some of these topics, but it really needs to be into the corporate scene.
And what do you think for these different corporations? How do you get it across to them? You know what? You need every voice. You need the multicultural voices.
This is something that they know. You've got diversity officers all the way across. Chief diversity officer, they know.
True, true.
They know.
Yeah.
But it's getting people to change. Change is a struggle. And also so that it's not intimidating, upsetting to others. We have men in our sessions. My last conference that I did, I had an all-male panel, and these were top executives, an all-male panel, and it was facilitated by a man. And the question was posed. These were men who elevate women, and why? And it's because diversity and inclusion matters. And it was a very rich conversation about what they do and how they've had to step back, particularly those men with daughters. Particularly, it's a different approach, but they all felt that it is necessary. We need to have that voice. So, and there was very pointed questions asked by the audience, and they responded. And also, we need to keep in mind, because of one male that does something that's not appealing, it doesn't mean you don't brush them all, that it's all of them.
Right.
But the fact that there's an effort, that there's a conscious effort to be inclusive, that's the big step.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because women elevating, we need men to help elevate.
We need everybody at the table.
We need everybody at the table. And sometimes I think things that can just, something that can be so simple it can go to another level just because you don't understand what you're saying to someone or how you're saying it. And it's because in your culture it may mean something else than it does in my culture. And so we get these, sometimes people get into trouble in business because they're not aware. And so during these events are making people more aware.
Right. Exactly. You have to talk about them. There are differences. I mean, there's differences even within my culture. I came from a poor farm family. I didn't realize I was poor. Worked on the farm, worked the morning to evening, picked blueberries, and we were on the pigs and all that. And then I always said by 2 people all my life, because it's a very small town, South Haven. I call it the Martha's Vineyard in the Midwest. But it was a very small town. And that was a culture in itself. And then you leave that small town where I think the entire school system, we didn't have more than 1,000. And so then you go to a big university like Ann Arbor, Michigan, Ann Arbor. I was like, whoa. So and that was a different culture. So yes, we need to understand those experiences. And people didn't understand who were coming from, larger cities. Like, why are you so? I mean, I was like this little scared child. But then I grew. There were people around me, my roommate, that helped me grow. So yeah, there are different cultures, and there's nothing wrong, and there's nothing to be ashamed to say that I don't understand. and ask for clarity.
Right. And I think that's key. We don't ask for clarity. You know, we don't ask for the clarity. We just kind of assume. And okay, we have a few minutes. So again, give us the details about the event and how folks can get in contact with you.
Sure, absolutely. The event is March 9th. It's limited seating, so if you're thinking about going, don't think. You need to go ahead and get your ticket. There's about maybe 20 so seats left. You need to get your seat now. And you can do so by going to bettyhines.com/event. And that's not plural, that's event, E-V-E-N-T. And we look forward, take a look at some of the people that we have there. You can learn so much from these women. I'm just very proud that they all came together and they wanted to share their journey. And there's a phrase that the 100 black men, and I'm going to mess that up too. It's like you see what you believe, what you can see. And so here you're going to see these women, these accomplished executives, these successful entrepreneurs, and then you can believe, yeah, I can do that. Right. So if you're a woman executive, a thought leader, if you are a second stage business owner, you need to be there.
Okay, and so we are going to influence. So you're going to have some serious influencers there.
Great.
To help grow, grow your business. And I want to thank you so much for being on the Ed Brown Show. We had a wonderful chat. Please go to bettyhines.com/event because this is something that I think is really important, really necessary. So I was excited that we must have Mrs. Hines here. So thank you so much, and thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.